I was really excited to play Drive Rally for a long time, and when I finally got my hands on it, I was a little bit disappointed. But it's okay, I put some more time into it, and I realized actually this is a really fun arcadey rally experience. The disappointment was a little bit on me, and we'll get to that in just a moment because in this video, I'm going to give you a full early access review of Drive Rally, tell you everything you need to know about this game. So let's jump into the gameplay right away. Drive Rally is super focused on rallying, unlike some other rally titles for the past 10-15 years. You basically pick a track, you get in your car, and you rip it. You try to set your best time possible. It's definitely got that one more run feel that you want from a game like this, where you constantly feel like, oh man, if I just play one more time, I can totally improve my time. And the game is also full of a colorful cast of co-drivers that have unique personalities as you drive. They respond to you, and they can be hit or miss, which we'll get into that later. But in terms of the gameplay, that's where I initially felt some disappointment that later on would disappear. The handling and the feel of the cars is quite arcade-like, which makes it easy to pick up and play, but it's got enough depth and nuance to make it difficult to master. It's very challenging, it's very serious. So this isn't the type of game where you can just casually get the best times on the leaderboards against other players. There's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of depth, and you're going to need to be a really good precision driver if you want to be able to pull it off. Just keep in mind, you're doing this in an arcade-like environment, so you're not necessarily worrying about real-life physics. Initially, I felt like the cars just weren't agile enough, but also too agile at the same time. Like they were way too responsive to little movements on the stick, but then they weren't responsive enough when you want to turn them. I wanted to customize the controls. I wanted to change my sensitivities, I wanted to change my dead zones, but as I put a little more time into it, I realized actually the vision of the game and the way that it works is quite fun, it's quite good. It's just a little bit different than you might expect. Everybody has a different idea of what arcade driving feels like, right? And I think for this game, they really nailed the aspect of it where it's like, oh, this seems simple to play, but wait, there's way more to it once you dig deeper. But to be fair, I think that the lowest class of cars that the game initially starts you out with might do a disservice in terms of first impression, because I'm not sure that that lowest class of cars really shows off what the handling model can do. In general though, the cars are super satisfying to drive, they all play different from one another, and you get that indescribable feeling where you become one with the car, you connect with the car, you are the car. And I think that's really important for a driving game. At its core, I think they built a great rally experience. Of course, there's always things that they can improve, like how your car can suddenly lose speed at certain angles that you might not expect, but there's nothing that's preventing the gameplay from being super fun and engaging and making you want to do that one more run that I was talking about. And that's really the crux of it. It's just fun to play, which I think is one of the most important and best things you can say about the game, right? Moving on though, I want to talk about what's on offer here. So modes wise, the game's a little thin. You got your quick race with leaderboards, and you got a career style single player where you just basically, you do races and you try different cars and play for different teams. It's pretty bare bones, and the AI timings offer basically no challenge in terms of the single player campaign. But I mean, let's be real. It's a rally game. If you're into rally, what you really care about are the tracks, right? And this game has plenty of tracks. So I think there's 4 biomes, each with about 24 tracks, ranging from super short to super long. And there's a lot of variety in them. You're going to be driving in mud, you're going to be driving in snow, sand, and more. The environments all look and feel different from one another. For example, when you're playing in the snow, you know, there's going to be ice there. That's going to affect your handling. You're going to have bigger braking zones, all that good stuff that you would expect from a rally game, but in a more arcade digestible format. And if you're really big into rally, you'll recognize a lot of these cars. These are some of the classics, and they all have 3 different category variants. So you have a lot of options to choose from in terms of what's the kind of car that you want. You can also customize the look of them in many different ways, and there's a nice photo mode if you're into that as well. Now, one thing I'm not really too sure about is the progression system. You basically, you know, you earn money from races and you can spend that money to unlock things, but it seems completely inconsequential because racking up money is super easy and fast, and you can just kind of unlock whatever you want. I don't think it really makes the game any worse or better, but it doesn't really do anything. By the way, I found Drive Rally to have an absolutely beautiful art style, but visually it's not quite the complete package yet. So there's some minor graphical issues, like lots of items on the track popping in, or some blur in spots where there shouldn't be, or some aliasing, but it can look truly stunning in moments, and you kind of see what the final polished game is going to look like. It's good to remember it's all early access, so the visual fidelity and audio stuff, all that polish probably comes at the end. But one kind of significant issue that I did want to flag, and I think the devs are already aware of it, might even be patched by the time you watch this, but your co-driver. So your co-driver in Rally is super important. They're supposed to basically tell you where to go, what turns are coming up. Well, sometimes they communicate to you way too late. So you can see how that can be a problem if you're on a giant track that's going to take you 10 minutes to complete and you don't know what turns are coming up and your co-driver is late with the calls, right? That's not a great experience. Realistically though, you're going to be playing tracks and replaying them often, so you'll probably start memorizing them yourself. But still, having a co-driver that gives you late calls, we can't have that for the final version of the game, right? The other thing I wanted to flag about the co-drivers, I love that they're personality based and that they all kind of feel different, but they're a little bit stereotypical, and sometimes it comes off as like harmless, casual banter stereotypes, and other times I think it maybe gets a little bit too rude. Especially in particular, what stood out to me was the Southeast Asian driver. The way that he speaks and the way that he formulates his English grammar, it doesn't come off well. It kind of feels like an outdated portrayal. So like I said, I love that the co-drivers are personality based and that they're unique, but maybe maybe we can just like tone it down a little bit, just a notch. But I think in general, the concept of the unique co-drivers adds to the charm of the game. Overall, I think Drive Rally has a strong gameplay core that's fun to play, and it's a little bit unpolished, but that's what early access is for. And I think the game's only around 20 bucks, so you'll get plenty of mileage out of that across all of the different cars and tracks. I would say if you're looking for a fun arcadey rally experience, I think you definitely want to consider this one. And of course, I don't know how the rest of early access will go. We'll check in later at a different time, but I'm keen to play more, and I'm really excited to see what direction the developers take it in. I think as long as the devs keep building on the experience, Drive Rally has a bright future ahead, and thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Don't forget to like and hype the video if you enjoyed it, or whatever other YouTube things introduces for the metrics. Bye!